Hello, this is Nicole, and this is Pretty Amazing People podcast. And I just can't talk enough about today's guest. It's just another delightful, incredible human being I met, and I'm so grateful to know about him and this organization. He's the executive director of an organization called Grassroots Al Quds, and they provide so much information you'll hear. And I learned a lot about the city of Jerusalem, which is very, very important. And I highly recommend the tours that we're going to talk about, but you'll hear. Anyways, it was such a delight. And here is my guest today, Yazan Risheq. Hello, Yazan, and it's so great to finally talk to you today.
Hello, Nicole, and nice to see you. I was looking forward to this podcast.
Thank you. Yes, I've been looking forward to. We have so much to talk about. And I thought, how about we start with, I see that you are the executive director for the Grassroots Al Quds organization, and I want to share and learn myself more about this organization. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you for hosting me today at your amazing podcast. Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Yazan Risheq. I'm a Palestinian born and raised in Jerusalem, in the eastern side of Jerusalem. I live in Wad al Joz now, a neighborhood far from the old city, like 500 meters far from the old city of Jerusalem. Currently working with Grassroots Al Quds as the executive director of Grassroots Al Quds since a couple of years ago, but I joined Grassroots Al Quds in 2018. Um, Also currently doing a PhD in international political economy at the Arab American University. And I'm very, very excited to be here today. For
Yeah.
people who, yeah, and for people who don't know about Grassroots Al Quds, we are a Palestinian organization established in 2011 as a Palestinian platform for networking and mobilization. Our goal is to support the Palestinian Sumud in Jerusalem. Sumud, a word that means steadfastness in the city. Our goal also is to contribute to the creation and the implementation of a Palestinian led long-term strategy for Jerusalem, Al-Quds. We work on four main levels. The first one, of course, is storytelling and mapping. We research the historic and current reality of the communities in Jerusalem district. We document their stories, we map grassroots initiatives and community organizations, activities in these communities, and also the resources available for them. Our mapping project aims at the preservation of the Palestinian identity of Jerusalem, as well as support of grassroots mobilization, community stories, organizational profiles, and all the maps we create, all the research we create could be found also on our website. The second level is the local mobilization or local organizing in our words. We support community-led mobilization projects challenging the displacement policies implemented against the Palestinians in Jerusalem. We help grassroots initiatives and community organizations find the resources needed for mobilization regarding issues of course, immediate concern. At the same time, we support networking between the different Al-Quds communities and organizations, building long-term strategies that defy the imposed reality on Palestinians. We also work globally. Our global uh, global mobilization department. Actually, we believe in the importance of networking between different struggles around the world. We are partners with many social justice movements outside Palestine, and of course, aside from networking and with movements around the world, Grassroots Al Quds gives political tours of Jerusalem and has published a political tourist guidebook for the city titled Wujud, Arabic for existence. Wujud is
Yeah. Majoud. Okay. I'll put a
second.
picture and we'll insert a picture too.
Yeah. This is Wujud.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so is that English? Okay.
Yeah, it is in English. Wujud is a guidebook. Is As I said, it's a political guidebook to the city. It is not like a guidebook where you can just hold it and move around this. It's 460 pages, but it tells exactly the tourist how to be an ethical, responsible tourist in Jerusalem. It tells you where to go, where to shop, where to sleep, where to eat, some recommendations of participating in festivals, some readings, recommendation of readings, documentaries, and etc. And it also tells you the real story of every Palestinian neighborhood in Jerusalem. It does not only focus on Jerusalem, but it gives you like a glance about other parts of Palestine. For example, if you are willing to visit Jaffa or Akka, Wujud tells you some of the important tourist sites over there, and also where you can sleep over there, and how you can support the Palestinian economy, not only in Jerusalem, but also in historic Palestine.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I didn't even know. So I'm so glad I'm going to share that book. That's very important.
And also to make it easier for persons who cannot just get Wujud the hard copy, we have the electronic version of Wujud. You can find Wujud on Gumroad or even on our website, and it comes with a map. We create maps. We call it the real maps of Jerusalem because it is the real maps of Jerusalem. It shows the reality. It shows the green line. It shows the annexation and expansion wall borders, the municipal borders, and etc. And it also gives you and shows the original names of the Palestinian neighborhoods uprooted in 1948. So we have the original names and we have the original stories, and from here you can start.
So
And
including my last name, Majdal.
yes, uh, and of course, along with Wujud, as I said before, we give political tours of Jerusalem, in-person political tours, and also virtual tours of Jerusalem. It's not a funny tour. The tour actually covers the different Israeli policies imposed on Palestinians in Jerusalem to push them out of the city, to empty the city from its indigenous people. For example, using economy, as a tool of displacement, the Israelization of the educational system in Jerusalem, land confiscation, home demolitions, and more and more. We cover different topics. And we also visit 6 very, very important sites in Jerusalem. And this is only one tour. The second kind of tour is are tours inside the old city of Jerusalem. It is a long tour, but it covers a very, very important topics. People would be very, very interested in knowing, and we usually have like this discussion or questions, Q&A during the tour that is focusing on the settler colonial projects happening in the old city of Jerusalem. And the third type are hikes. Again, it's not a funny hike. It is a hike in an uprooted village or a neighborhood in Jerusalem. For example, Lifta. We tell the story of the city while we are hiking inside this uprooted neighborhood, and w- we we show how the displacement policies didn't end in 1948 or in 1967, but it's still happening. We have now a live example, I believe, and and also we try to reconnect the people with the land again. Um, so yeah, we give also, as I said, virtual tours of Jerusalem. It is like 17 minutes recorded tour, and after that, we usually have a discussion, like an hour and a half discussion after the tour, just answering some questions here and there, and what comes in the mind of the people who are watching the tour.
Something
Um,
that I can share. We should be doing this right now. We should all be like taking this virtual tour to learn and see more than what we're just watching on social media. This I didn't even know about this. So
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Nicole, we believe that the virtual tours and even in-person tours are a very powerful tool in our struggle for liberation. And it is a very powerful tool in somehow amplifying the Palestinian narrative. And because, sometimes people are overwhelmed with different narratives here and there, especially on social media. They listen from here and listen from there, and they end up just very overwhelmed or confused. But when you have the tour and you listen and you really witness, even in person or virtually, the what's really happening in Jerusalem, somehow you will find your answers. And because it is the reality tour of Jerusalem, it is an educational tour of Jerusalem, and it is something that it's already been done on the ground. And unfortunately, maybe some or the media is not pushing that much towards this, or towards showing the reality of
they're
living as a Palestinian in Jerusalem.
hiding it for sure. I mean, I grew up here in Los Angeles. My dad is a refugee from where we'll talk about it, where you're living now. And I don't know if I shared this with you. It's like I didn't say I was Palestinian for most of my life. I never said that because I thought it was bad from TV here. And of course, now I see the propaganda and how it even affected me knowing I'm half Palestinian. I never would say it. In fact, even till like about 12 years ago, my best friends, I would just say Egyptian because I lived in Egypt for 3 years and it was easier. So everybody just it was just easy. I just said it was just easier. And then finally, when I realized what an incredible place I come from, Majdali, well, we're from Jerusalem and the amazing place of Jerusalem, I was getting ready to change my name. And then my uncle was telling me some stories. And I thought, wow, we're from like the most amazing place in the world. What am I doing changing my name for Hollywood, And I started learning and so all my friends were like, Palestinian, we thought you were Egyptian. Because I call it, I came out, I'm going to say I'm Palestinian. That's only about 12 years ago. So I know the propaganda here, and I had Mr. Miko on here. And he's explained we're fed the Zionist education here. And now many of us were saying it, but most of us, not too many, are not saying it. I'm like, I see it now because of how it affected me and my story, which is a documentary I'm trying to work on because I'm working with somebody who's encouraged me, you need to share this. And that's,
Yeah.
I'm asking for footage and learning more about their, but yeah, no, our narrative, and this is why I started this, is I'm surrounded by people who still, they don't even know what Zionist is. They don't even know. I'm like, I can't even talk to you. Is this fair? Because I feel like I'm doing this fight and I feel like we can't have a discussion. If you don't know what Zionism is, if you don't know about the Balfour Declaration, you shouldn't be talking about this because that they're the October 8th is, October 7th is, they think it started then. So it's like, we can't have a conversation. I can't. But
Yeah.
okay, that's true. Good.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you, Nicole. Some people, I believe that now, especially now during these very hard times. Everyone knows who are the oppressed and who are the oppressors, and people are clever now and they are witnessing everything, even on media, on TV, on news, even the fake news, or even the
Again,
uh, yeah, and I believe that they know what what Zionism is, and they know exactly what is happening, but they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to just say that yes, there is a genocide happening now, or even not, because sometimes they are just um they are playing it full, so it's okay. I don't know what you're talking about, and we face a lot of people like this, like especially on tours here we give, and even if we join a webinar, if we join a seminar or a talk outside Palestine or even on Zoom, we have these people that is usually, as you said, life for them started in October 7th. So what about October 6th, October 5th, October 4th, and the 77 years of occupation? So you're totally right. And that's why we believe that Grassroots Al Quds now in Jerusalem is is a very important, just like the other community-based organization or the grassroots organizations in Jerusalem, because we know that all the eyes are now on the West Bank and on Gaza, of course, and Jerusalem is getting less attention during these times. But what's happening in Jerusalem is very important, I believe. We believe that Jerusalem is a focal point. We believe that Jerusalem is the starting point as well and the ending point. It's all about Jerusalem, and even when, you know, 1947, the 181 resolution, the UN partition plan, they said that, okay, 56% of historic Palestine is a Jewish state, 43% is the Arab state, and the remaining 1%, which is Jerusalem and some parts of Bethlehem, is under international custodian. So it's a debate from long time ago, and that's why it's a very important uh, area. And our role now is to put and to bring more attention to Jerusalem, to highlight some very important insights that's happening here, and give our analysis and the people's analysis on every different aspect happening here in Jerusalem. For example, the holidays that happened, the closure of checkpoints leading to Jerusalem, isolating Jerusalem from other parts of the area, and even how the people of Jerusalem, Palestinians in Jerusalem, live, and what it looked like, for example, after October 7th.
really
And
what
it's
I want you to explain because I went there. And that's the other thing. I can't have a conversation with people because I have people that say they travel to the other. It's so lovely. But I'm like, we can't have this discussion until you went to the Palestinian side. That's where I stayed. You saw where you know the street. We're going to talk about that. Um, we had to wait in lines in the cars, we don't get the fancy roads. And I saw like it's a whole another lifestyle. It's really disturbing. And when I was there, this 2017, there was a young girl shot. And I didn't know better then. I mean, I knew in my gut even when they said it, but what do they always say when they kill a kid? Oh, they had a knife. They had, they say,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, I didn't even believe it then, but it's been awful for 70 something years. So tell us a little what life is like living there. I mean, it's my dream. I hope to go. I want to move there, but
You know, as a Palestinian living in Jerusalem, I can tell you that Jerusalem is a divided city, not a united city at all. West Jerusalem is totally different from East Jerusalem, while also taking into account that the whole Jerusalem is, theoretically speaking, is under one responsibility and under one authority, which is the Jerusalem municipality. But the difference in infrastructure you saw, Nicole, is something systematically designed, I believe. For example, keeping the eastern side of Jerusalem, where the Palestinians actually live, underdeveloped and also poor and when it comes to infrastructure, I believe the situation is bad, and also keeping the western side of the city civilized and developed is another tool used against Palestinian to push them out of the city, to empty the city from its indigenous people. And that's the goal. That's the final goal, I believe, is somehow pushing Palestinians out by any different means. For example, when we talk about life in Jerusalem is very, very exciting, I believe. But people should take care of every different aspect in their lives because they are targeted. That's very, very important in our uh, brain, that we always remember that we are targeted. We need to prove that Jerusalem is our center of life, which is something heavy on Palestinians living in Jerusalem. And why I say Palestinians living in Jerusalem, because we, and as you know, we do not hold an Israeli citizenship, or we do not hold even a Palestinian citizenship. We have a permanent residency that we need to renew each 5, 10 years, something like that. And in order to renew your permanent residency in Jerusalem, you need to prove that Jerusalem is your center of life. It's like proving that you own or you rent a property in Jerusalem, that you work in Jerusalem, that you get medication in Jerusalem, that your kids go to a school inside Jerusalem, and you pay taxes in Jerusalem, and you pay property taxes in Jerusalem. And um, you should just prove to the Ministry of Interior, which is located in Wadi al-Jawz, and I believe we should talk about that also, why Wadi al-Jawz. And you need to prove that Jerusalem is your center of life in order to stay in the city. So when it comes to life, for example, education, okay, it's better that you get your education in Jerusalem, an awfully expensive city, especially when it comes to private schools, for example, and but you have no other option, or you send your kids to a school, for example, run by the Palestinian Ministry of Education, which is very, very neglected, or a Palestinian run by the Israeli Ministry of Education that teaches the Israeli curriculum, which
Mhm.
is something very, very dangerous, I believe. And another life aspect, for example, economy. You need also to prove that you have a salary slip inside Jerusalem or inside the Green Line. You cannot work outside Jerusalem and not, just not paying your taxes or proving your source of income, if it is from outside Jerusalem. So you have very limited number of jobs and a lot of candidates. So that's why the poverty line in Jerusalem is so high. It reached last year, it reached more than 78%. It's a huge number, I believe. For example, medication. Medication, you have only um, very few options to get medication in Jerusalem. You need to be registered in one of the big Israeli companies that provides medical services. You can get medication from outside Jerusalem, but it's not something sustainable. You can get it one, twice a time in your whole life, and then you need at the end of the day to prove that you get your medication inside one of the medical centers in Jerusalem. So living in Jerusalem is somehow focused on just proving that you are in Jerusalem.
Mhm.
And even Nicole, if you prove that Jerusalem is your center of life, they might come, the Israeli authorities, they might come at night or even in the morning to check that you are in your house. They check that if you have fresh food, that you have, they'll check your garbage, they check that your house is clean or not, just to make sure that you live here or you not. And if you fail, you will be asked to provide more and more documentations, more and more supporting documents to prove that Jerusalem is your center of life in order to be in Jerusalem. Otherwise, they can revoke your permanent residency and send you out of Jerusalem.
Wow.
So living in Jerusalem is very challenging, but people are very, very clever and they know how to deal with that. They know all of these aspects, and we are raised with this mentality. Is like, okay, if we go, for example, somewhere else, just be sure that at the end of the day, you prove it that, okay, you have, for example, a bank account in Jerusalem, not in the West Bank, because you need to prove that Jerusalem is your center of life. And people know how to cope with that. It's not normalizing this situation, it's not accepting the situation, but it's somehow form of resistance in the city, because we believe that existence is resistance in Jerusalem. And this is part of your existence and your resistance in the city. So, okay, do your best to prove that Jerusalem is your center of life.
Yes.
Since the war began, Jerusalem was isolated from other parts of Palestine. All checkpoints, Nicole, leading to Jerusalem, even the checkpoint you passed when you come from Jordan Valley or from other parts of Palestine to Jerusalem, it was also closed. Some checkpoints were closed for 2 or 3 weeks in the face of Palestinians, just like Qalandia checkpoint. They open it for 1 hour or 2 hours a day, and that's it. And it's even in the morning. They want to isolate Jerusalem more than it is already isolated from other parts. And even uh, cutting the flow of products and the flow of Palestinians and workers from behind the wall or from outside Jerusalem to Jerusalem. It's like isolating the city so you can easily control it.
Yeah.
Even isolation, not only for the city as a whole, but also the neighborhoods inside the city. For example, people who are not registered in the Ministry of Interior and that they live in the old city of Jerusalem were not allowed to enter the old city of Jerusalem.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Enter the old city, and other people cannot. That was the situation for I believe more than a month or two. But on the other hand, the Zionist groups, the settlers, can move freely inside the city without any disruptions, and of course with the full protection of army and sometimes police. They
Yes.
can easily invade Al-Aqsa Mosque while Palestinians were being prevented from praying inside Al-Aqsa Mosque. They can move freely inside the old city of Jerusalem, where sometimes Christians were, just like what happened this year in this Easter, by denying the access of Palestinian Christians from the West Bank to pray inside and to visit the Church of the Holy Sepulchre during Easter.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's a challenging situation, I believe. And
One of the other impressions I had when I was younger, and I was like, I don't want to be Palestinian. I'm not going to stand Palestinian. They're so angry. Because the media, they put this and now because of all this happening, and I just witness and witness only for what, 15 months now. Like, no wonder no wonder we're angry. It's like, it's like talking to a wall and, about everything happening for 77 years, like, yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very upsetting. It's very enraging. I can't believe it. Yeah, watching them take over. I know people in the West Bank. I'm remembering I flew, of course, went to Jordan first and came in, and the family, it wasn't registering with me the history of my family being the Palestinians that were in Jordan, and when I was staying with this family, they're like they used to go pray every Joma, but they're not allowed as a Palestinian. You can't go pray there anymore. Or the people in the West Bank, my friends, I showed them a picture of me at the old city and El Quds, and they're like, we wish to go, we can't go. It's like, they're so close and they're not even allowed to go. It's so upsetting.
yeah, yeah. And you know, we at Grassroots, I'll just I have to mention that we at Grassroots Al Quds, we bring Jerusalem to the people who are not allowed to to visit the city by giving them this virtual tour of Jerusalem or by reading Wujud. We give them the experience of Al Quds. And we believe that also the Arab world should somehow, we should bring them Jerusalem. Okay, not the opposite. And we are now translating Wujud to Arabic. But the Arabic version of Wujud will be somehow different from the English version of Wujud because it is like a different, uh, um, for a different audience, for a different people, different perspectives and backgrounds. So we will bring them the experience, as I said, of Al Quds to these millions of Arabic speakers outside Palestine. And for people who are not allowed to enter Jerusalem or even Palestine, we can always just try work with them on how we can bring this experience to them and somehow um, trying to do things that might be comfortable and satisfying for them. For example, we sometimes give live tours in Jerusalem. Nicole, for example, Wadi Al Jawz, okay? We can have like a live tour in Wadi Al Jawz where myself or my colleagues can just hold the camera and walk around and show you the
Ooh,
neighbor.
oh my,
Yeah.
yes, that's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about that, and I gotta be sharing this. This is something I didn't even know. I found you listening to one of my first heroes of learning about all this is Miko Peled, who was amazing enough to do my very first. I had a podcast, and before it was Inspiring Stories, and then after October. I sat home for 6 months, like paralyzed. I couldn't do anything. And I'm in a world, I'm surrounded by people who are just repeating the media, the propaganda. So it was very sickening. I sat at home feeling very alone, very upset. And then somebody says, you have to do something. You can't be silent, you know? So I started this. And Miko was, of course, my first, and it was just incredible. So I saw you on his podcast. I learned a lot because I wasn't following, I didn't pay attention. I'm one of those, I knew some stuff, but I didn't know enough. And so for the past 15 months, I'm like a diehard studying, learning, and I'm still learning. I'm bringing people on to educate me, but helping people here that aren't really interested. I know some that are even Palestinian. They're not paying attention. They're too busy here. And it's funny because I talk to my Palestinian friends over there and I watch them like in Tulkarm and they're, like they're just so bonded. I go, it's just so beautiful there. I love it. I wish to be with people like you. I go, here, they're too busy. Everybody's just too busy. It's very it's a different life and my heart is over there. But yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say. Where's it going? Let's see. But the tour, I saw you on Miko's podcast, and okay, actually on that podcast, who I learned a lot from listening to him, and we're going to talk about that recommended people too. You actually had bombs going over your head. Do you remember that? There were,
Yeah, yeah, it was like a funny.
I'm like,
uh,
oh my God. My heart was like,
So it was like a funny moment because we were just doing this podcast and there were bombs and explosions everywhere. And Miko was telling me, Yazan, go to somewhere safe. And I was like,
and you were just like, I'm fine. So
I'm
good.
fine. Yes, like I'm fine. I know that I'm not targeted, and I know that and I know that there is no safe place in his Jerusalem. So wherever you go, so it's the same. So let's continue our podcast, and that's it.
I got that. That's exactly what I thought. And my heart was just like, that's life. That's the life there. You guys just manage and you just live. And I think it's also what makes you guys so special. Like watching Gaza and what they do and how they survive. I'm like, they have this. This is the life. You guys are resistance and tough and together, So it's actually really beautiful. And I really am a big I'm not just a believer, but it's changed the world. Like I think Gaza has taught the world, it exposed so many ugly people, all the people that the world looked up to. And it's like, no, there's other heroes out there now. And I mean, there's the good that came out of it is now like watching certain people that are true heroes like Miko and you and everybody who's doing something. The doctors, I talk to a lot of the doctors,
I
and
saw that. Yeah.
it's just Norman Finkelstein, there's just so Elon Pape, I love him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, these are the real people we should have been paying attention to.
You know, Nicole, I believe that life before the war is different, somehow different from after the war, because this war actually revealed the hidden faces behind these masks, especially when it comes to very, very big institutions, for example, universities or even governments. You
Yes.
know, they are fighting double standards in their academia and in their, daily life, and then they practice it when it comes to Palestine.
It's unbelievable. It's this
This double
hypocrisy.
standards is somehow crazy, and I don't know how they are coping with that, and I don't know how do they feel now. But you are educating people not to practice the double standards, to have this sharp opinion sometimes when you have to have this very sharp opinion to somehow be subjective and etc. And then when it comes to Palestinians, then it's okay, especially when we're talking about international organizations that documents violations against human rights in all parts of the world, and now they are just enough, they are very, very satisfied with weak statements. That's why, Nicole, we do not, or let's say we have little to no faith in international organizations in our struggle for liberation. In Jerusalem, there is a UN headquarters. Okay. The UN headquarters is located on the land of Jabal Mukabbir. Okay. Jabal Mukabbir is in the southern part of Jerusalem, far from Wadi al-Juz, like 20 minutes far from Wadi al-Juz. And the UN headquarters is located there. The UN headquarters used to be the British High Commissioner's palace, the Commissioner's palace. And ironically enough, and it's very, yeah, there is an illegal settlement being built right in front of the UN headquarters. And the name of this illegal settlement is Armon Hanatsiv in Hebrew. In English, the Commissioner's Palace. So it's like very, very disappointing. Very disappointing, and that's why we rely on our community, and that's your point that the community support is amazing in Jerusalem, not only when it comes to individuals, but also when it comes to community-based organizations. For example, I'll go back to the same square. uh, 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 when we at Grassroots, for example, we have this, it's part of our work as well as the consultancy and the organizational development. We share our experience and lessons with other Palestinian organizations that wish to develop in a sustainable or a self-efficient way, passing our own funding model, focusing on core funds or crowdfundings or income generation work in order to be able financially independent and remain loyal to our agenda and plans, of course, in the face of donor dictations. And that's why some organizations now in Jerusalem just stopped taking money from different donors. We do not want X money or Y money.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a financial crisis, but also we have something to do. That's why at Grassroots Al Quds, we generated our income generation model. And now we rely a lot on the tours we give, the donations we receive, the selling of Wujud, the political guidebook to Jerusalem,
Which
and
is
of course,
that book?
yeah.
Which is the book? Is it different wherever we are, or
No, no, this book, the same one actually.
we can order
Uh,
that here?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can order wujud to any part of the world. We did it before, and we have printed 1,000 copies, a new 1,000 copies this year. It's updated. It's an updated version of wujud. So, um, and it has like more touristic information on where to go, or more options on
I
what
want
activity
to get that book. I'm gonna
in
order it.
Jerusalem. Yeah.
Um,
And also we have our membership program. You know, um, part of our income generation model is, encouraging people from outside Palestine and from inside Palestine to support Grassroots Al Quds if they believe and they are brave enough to say, yes, we support the Palestinian narrative. And we have a very good number of supporters on Patreon. So this is our membership program. We launched this program like 3 years ago, and we are still developing this program. So, and we try to somehow copy and paste this model to other organizations in Jerusalem to break free all the conditions imposed on the very, very big donors in Jerusalem because of its very sensitive context. And
things
it's
are
very, very.
they're starting to they make sense to me now, like when I was little and I didn't pay attention. I was a California girl, you know. I wanted, you know, it's Hollywood and I want to be on TV. You know, I didn't pay attention, but I heard the adults, you know, hey, they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna, they knew, you know, like this has been going on so long since I was a little girl. They always are like, they don't trust anything. They've been talking, you know, like it's like they, and some of them that have been here so long, I know they're not even paying attention. You know, it's hard. It's sad to see, but it's like they don't have any faith. They know what's happened before. They've seen this. They were, you know, they've seen this decades ago. And
Yeah,
yeah, it makes sense to me now. It didn't, you know, I didn't pay attention when I was younger, but now I'm like, I see why they're like that. And even when I stayed with the family there at Wadi Joe's, and it's
yeah.
like they're driving the car and it's like, it's like my aunt who I went with, she's my dad's oldest sister. And I'm
Ah,
so grateful I went because now she's not remembering things. And I got to see like my family would walk around the old city. She's like, my father would bring us here, and they were there when the was it the king that got shot? You know, the prince that was shot. They were there, and I
King,
heard
yeah.
the story of how my grandmother had to run them, you know, outside before they closed the old city down. And my other aunt's father was shot outside the King David Hotel. Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
My family's like, oh yeah, we got history. Because now I'm like taking notes. I'm like, what? We're, you know, it's like we're from here. I always say my dad's from Jerusalem, not New Jersey, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, and
like the settlers, you know. But so anyway, so I saw you on Mika's podcast and you said Wadi Joe's. And I only know that word because I remember my aunt when we went there, Wadi Joe's, the Valley of the Walnuts, because this is
yes.
where we needed our car to go. And so I reached out to you, like, Wadi Joe's, you're like the only person I've heard say that. And so I shared that picture. The funny story was we get in there, we get off that bus that drops you off, I guess, after coming through the border. We take a bus
Yeah.
somewhere. We get off at that little candy store. I have the luggage, two big luggage. She goes, just wait here. I'm going to walk and have them come pick us up. And at the time, she wore a scarf and a bay, I think. And I don't know anything. I don't have any phone numbers. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And hours go by. And now in my mind, I'm like I can find a hotel, but what if something happened to her? I don't know where to look for her. So I'm now trying to speak to the owner of the candy store, the man, and and I speak broken Arabic. I lived in Egypt for 3 years, so I could speak a little bit. And I'm like, my aunt, I don't know where she is, and he saw me waiting and waiting. He gets his wife in her SUV. She comes. They go driving around the neighborhood, looking for this woman dressed like this. And it was hours later. She pulls up. She's wearing a short sleeve, flowery shirt, like, hey, at somebody's car window. And I, furious. I was so mad at her. I am like, because I was so terrified. And she leaves me stranded. She had tea. I think she had tea at lunch.
Oh,
So we get to the family's house, which I showed you where that was. You're going to tell me the street so I remember all my places I went. I thought I took enough
yeah.
pictures, but I didn't. I wish I took more notes and more pictures because I got to see my dad's school and all that. So we go stay. It was my grandmother's family on that street. And I'm not speaking to her. I am just like furious, like, and I'm trying to be nice to the family I'm meeting, but I am, oh my so like I laugh now, it's very funny, but at the time it was not funny.
At all, at all. Yeah.
So like if you know the owner, you could tell him you know me and ask him if he remembers that time. And oh my God, this American girl is like looking for her aunt, and they show up like had eaten and don't know where I am.
Actually, the store is still there, and I believe also the man is still there. He's from the Halawani family, a very well-known family in Jerusalem, by the way. But since we're talking about Wad al Jaws, let's just have this introduction to the people. What is Wad al Jaws? Wad al Jaws, as you said, Nicole, it's the Walnut Valley. It is a steep 1 kilometer long valley. It is sometimes referred as Al Wadi Al Sharqi, the Eastern Valley, as it is in the eastern Jerusalem and also continues south, ending at Wadi Qadrun, another valley, which leads also to the Dead Sea, Jericho, Jordan Valley, and of course the Dead Sea. Wadi al-Jawz is situated between the occupied city of Jerusalem and Jabal Masharif, Mount Scopes, where the Hebrew University now is located. Many Palestinians actually wrote about Wadi al-Jawz and many researchers, but I'd love to mention Bashir Barakat. He indicates that the valley has been known as Wadi al-Jawz since the beginning of the Ottoman rule, with evidence that it had been planted with walnut trees during that period. And Wadi al-Jawz witnessed, he says that Wadi al-Jawz witnessed a decline in the number of walnut trees as of the second half of the 17th century, and a rise in the number of vineyards as well as olive and almond trees. Wadi al-Jawz neighborhood was established as a neighborhood in the late 19th century, along with other residential neighborhoods built outside, of course, the wall of the old city, the walls of Jerusalem.
Because it's
Uh,
walking. I walked there from there. So what's the distance?
Yeah, you walked from Wadi al-Juz to the old city of Jerusalem. It's like 700 meters far or 500 meters far from Wadi al-Juz. Wadi al-Juz was established at the same time when Sheikh Jarrah also was established. And Sheikh Jarrah is very, very near to Wadi al-Juz, and that explains why what happens in Sheikh Jarrah is also being reflected in Wadi al-Jawz and also in the old city of Jerusalem. Even, Wadi al-Jawz is one of the nearest points to the old city of Jerusalem, as you witnessed also, Nicole. On Fridays, especially on the first months of the war, on Fridays, we Palestinians were prohibited from entering and not allowed from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque to pray the Jum'ah prayers, the Friday prayers. So people were gathering in Wadi al-Jawz and doing these public prayers,
Mm.
listening to the sounds of Al-Adhan and the prayers from
When was this?
uh,
Like when was this? I mean, I feel like I see that all the time where they don't let you guys in, but when was
Yes, that was during the first months of the war, so people gathered in Wadi Al-Jawz, and we're talking about hundreds and thousands of people just praying at the streets because they are, and which is the nearest point to Al-Aqsa Mosque. So we hear what's happening in Al-Aqsa Mosque and we do do the prayers. Of course, a lot of clashes happened and confrontations, and they started bumping tear gas bombs in between the worshippers and etc. But again, we're fine. Most Wadi al-Jawz belongs to the Jerusalem village of Lifta. Lifta was uprooted in 1948. How? Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi actually supported As-Salahiyya school. I don't know if you have the chance to visit As-Salahiyya school in the old city of Jerusalem. It's an Islamic waqf, Islamic endowment school. And Wadi al-Jawz land is a waqf, an endowment that serves the school. So what has been sold from the walnut in Wadi al-Jawz was spent to the development of this school inside the old city of Jerusalem.
Okay, and is that in the book or what's it called? The
As-Salahiyya school.
I feel like there was a school outside the I think that's the Damascus Gate on that
Yeah,
street. There's a school. I feel like my aunt pointed to that school about somebody going to school there. Do you know?
Damascus Gate. There's maybe the other gates, not Damascus Gate, because Damascus Gate is the main entrance to the old city of Jerusalem, and it's all commercial, and it has like this kind of shops here on
Yeah.
the right and on your left. But on different gates, for example, the Lions Gate, maybe you're talking about the Lions Gate. There are six schools inside the old city of Jerusalem and also inside Al-Aqsa Mosque. So maybe it might be one of these six schools inside Al-Aqsa Mosque or inside the old city of Jerusalem. You know, yeah, and the name Wadi al-Jawz has mostly referred to the area situated between Karm al-Mufti, the Mufti's vineyard, let's say, south of Sheikh Jarrah, and Al-Qa'a to the east. According to the latest statistics of Wadi al-Jawz done by the Israeli occupation municipality, it says that 17,000 Palestinians inhabit Wadi al-Jawz or live in this neighborhood. I believe that the numbers are higher because you know we struggle from these statistics, especially when it comes from different resources. The Palestinian
Yeah, they
Bureau of
want to act like
Statistics.
we're not there.
Yeah, and the Palestinian Bureau of Statistics cannot operate in Jerusalem inside the wall, and we rely on statistics given by the Israelis, um, who is um,
So
occupying the country.
your tours too, well, you give the serious tour, so you show, because I do remember going in the old city, and every now and then you'll see a flag, and it's just like they're marking. It's just so disruptive. So you show like, and I know they take over some of the homes in there as well.
Ah, yeah, yeah, that's right. And if we want to talk about the old city of Jerusalem, we need hours and hours of podcast. And
I might, you're so like full of info. I didn't think I was going to be just sitting listening to all this. So we might have to do another section. There was a move, there's so many documentaries. One of the reasons I got so, I felt like, wow, I've been asleep as well so long, but there's so many documentaries I tell people for free. It's all I did was, that's all I can watch. I can't watch superficial stuff anymore. So
no,
many documentaries, so old. Plus, I'm with Palestinian Museum every Saturday. There are movies that have been made, that we wouldn't know that show all of this. And there's a documentary I found just on my search, anything about Palestine. And this one is it the Ali Jeddah story?
Ali Jadda, yes, yes, Ali Jadda.
You know
Perfect.
him?
Yes, Ali Jadda is an amazing man. He lives in the African community in the old city of Jerusalem. Um, yeah,
Oh, I want
amazing.
to talk to him too. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Ali
That doc,
Jadda, a very well-known person in Jerusalem, by the way.
I recommend that doc because nobody else heard of. I didn't hear of him and his story. He was a political prisoner for a long time too.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Um,
And then
uh,
being Black and Palestinian, his struggle was even harder. They're even more racist there. And Miko
yeah.
talked about that. Like you said, we're not a united city. It's very divided. And Miko said his whole life, it's so segregated. So these are things people don't know. And it's very hard for me to talk to people who think they've been there, and had such an amazing time. I go, you didn't go to the truth. You didn't go to the Palestinian version. It's apartheid. And it's time to stop. It's time to end it, hopefully.
And also, uh, they are somehow, the Israelis now are somehow doing their best to not show the reality of the life of Palestinians in Jerusalem. For example, they are now implementing a project, a cable car that takes tourists from the western side of the city to the eastern side of the city by not driving through the Palestinian neighborhoods, but by flying over the Palestinian neighborhoods. So they will not witness occupation by their own eyes. And we Palestinians will lose. How we will lose? First of all, economically speaking, tourists will not come to our shops. They will not buy from us, first of all. And the second thing, uh, 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 we will lose this kind of narrative. So, because when they come back home, these tourists, they will not say that, oh, yes, we saw this difference in infrastructure between the Palestinian neighborhoods and the western side of Jerusalem. We saw a civilized, united city.
Exactly. I know.
So
I
what
understand.
occupation you're talking about? We didn't see that. I stayed in Jerusalem for a week or two. I
Exactly.
didn't see
That's what
that
I hear.
occupation.
Exactly. I loved it. It was so great. And then they have
Yeah,
a narrative of we're just so barbaric, we're such violent. It's like, no, it's I see that. I didn't know that about the cable cars. That's good to know because that's one of the things it's very important to they have to go there. They have to see it's horrible apartheid and racism. And I'm seeing that and I know this in the West Bank, like they monitor your apps, they read. I have people that are afraid to type stuff. They target them like in Tulkarm and they're after them. They're after the boys. If they post anything, I know that they, come after you if you posted something on a social media.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You know, if we talk about freedom of speech here in Jerusalem, it is very, very limited and monitored. And Nicole, even if you react to a shared post, it's not your opinion, but you react, you put like or comment or any kind of reaction to a shared post on social media, sometimes you will be asked and arrested and even uh, sent for an administrative detention just like this. It is happening here. I have a lot of friends now who's now inside just because of expressing their emotions or even being part of any kind of uh, refusal of this regime or refusal of the war happening in Gaza. So you have very, very limited space to express your opinion, and it's even shrinking every day, every day, every day.
Yeah, and that's
And
why I'm always asking, like even you and my other friends, whatever you can send me, it doesn't have to be of them, but like just the city. I want videos for the documentary from the city and life. Doesn't have to be that because I know they can't film them. They will take your camera. They're just extremely violent. It's no democracy. But
Yeah, and it is
my,
not.
my family doesn't share anything because I know why, you know.
Yeah, and it's not only on Palestinians living in Jerusalem. They apply these oppression actions on Palestinians in the north, for example, who holds an Israeli citizenship imposed on them, by the way, in 1948.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's not only individuals. Sometimes they are public figures. Sometimes they are singers, like Dalal Abu Amni and other people who just got arrested and interrogated just for expressing their feelings or just calling that there is a genocide happening now or admitting or condemning one part or another. So, um, you know, another project happening in Wadi Al Jawz, it's called Silicon Valley. Are you familiar with this term?
You told me because you said that, and that's very upsetting. So
Yeah,
share
Silicon Valley.
about it.
It,
I can imagine what it is, but go ahead, tell us.
Silicon Valley, of course, a funded project in Jerusalem, in the industrial zone where you were, Nicole.
Mhm.
One of the shops who is threatened to be evicted is the shop where you stand, where you were actually. But before, the industrial zone in Wadi al-Juz is one of the most important landmarks in the city, just like Abdin Mosque or the Mosque of Wadi al-Juz or Al-Hisbe, the market. So there's a zone inside Wadi al-Jawz called Industrial Zone, established in 1967. It is the only industrial zone located among the Palestinian towns and neighborhoods within the municipality borders in Jerusalem. And this zone, this industrial zone, is marked by many car repair garages or hardware stores or even wholesale markets. And it's a very, very important industrial zone. It's somehow part of this economic wheel in Jerusalem. It's very, very important. So, what is Silicon Valley? And not to be, it is a misleading, it's a misleading terminology. Theoretically speaking, the project of Silicon Wadi or Silicon Valley is planned within the term urban renovation,
Mhm.
a general and a multi-phased process that aims to solve urban issue with long-term solutions. It targets structural and economic matters in some aspects and general matters in other aspects. But again, this urban development as a project aims to demolish and somehow uproot the people from this industrial zone to other parts of, of Jerusalem or even outside Jerusalem if you fail to provide the proper documentation. As I said, theoretically speaking, this comes under the urban renovation or under urban or under economic development. But they wanted to establish this a new valley in Wadi Al Juz in the industrial zone by uprooting the people from uh, this 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 neighborhood and replacing Palestinians who live there and who work there with high tech companies,
Mhm.
and they are telling the Palestinians there that we will be providing you with job opportunities in the high-tech field and etc.
Mhm.
Of course, there is something or this advancement process is led by the Israeli authorities. And in this case, the advancement process takes no consideration to the needs of the society. Instead, actually, this process seeks the physical and urban displacement of Palestinians from Wadi al-Jawz. And this project actually, in direct accordance with a Zionist scheme, aims to lock a colonial belt around the city center and evacuate districts inside Jerusalem in order to establish an colonial outposts in various forms. So this is the project in short. Nicole, I'd love to say that we have written a very important article with the university with the Bristol University about Silicon Valley. You can find it online on our website, and it's free, it's downloadable. Please use this resource and share it, and people who are interested in really amplifying the Palestinian voices. And actually this takes us to another aspect. It's like what Palestinians really expect from people outside.
Yeah, that was we were going to cover that. I do want you to share like it's a little frustrating watching on social media. It's like even when I get in certain, groups and the activists, I do love that. I love that I've met, really people with shared values at this time now. I don't feel like I have to hide and be in the closet anymore because I knew I was working in a world and an industry that was we're not on the same page. But until now, it's like I can't even. Um, but uh, I see people following, and I don't know, there's people just trying to get famous. It's a lot happening, and social media can be misleading. So if you have some like that you respect, where we can learn, who we can read, and of course, what we can do. What do you wish to see or um, anybody from, I mean, I know there's so many different things from people who have connections, who don't have connections, who from social media activism to, what is there that we can do besides educate ourselves?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We believe that the best way to learn is to experience. Okay. And we are and we as Palestinians will be very excited for you to join us in Palestine, of course. But as I said, for those who want to prepare in advance or just cannot make a trip to Palestine or to Jerusalem, I'd love to recommend like some of the books which is already written in Wujud. Um, I'd like to refer to Omar Barghouthi literature, the case for sanctions against Israel, or Ghassan Kanafani, all of the writings, but especially the 1936 revolution in Palestine. It lasted for 3 years. It has like a strike within this revolution. Of course, Ghada Karmi, Married to Another Man. It's a very, very important resource, I believe. It tells exactly, it explains the Palestinian-Israeli case. And of course, the question of Palestine. Nadira Shalhoub. Nadira Shalhoub is a professor actually. She worked as a professor at one of the Israeli universities in Jerusalem, and during the war, she got arrested by just expressing her feelings and expressing her opinion. And she's now outside the university, but she has a very important writings. For example, the security theology. It's a very important resource, I
I'm gonna
believe.
type all these names too, like so they can read it and find it easy too, because some of these are new to me. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to know more, for example, about Palestine, I recommend Murid Barghouthi in his book I Saw Ramallah, a very important resource. Also, Edward Said, again, is a very, very important
I just saw a
resource.
documentary with him. I saw one of his films recently, and oh my God, wow. Yeah.
You can also follow some websites like Adala. Adala Justice Project. It's the legal center for Arab minority rights in Israel. الضمير, الحق, Grassroots Al Quds, المرصد, a very important website, of course. Arij is the Applied Research Institute. It gives a very accurate and
These I don't know a lot of these, so message them to me too.
absolutely, absolutely. And documentaries, of course, a very good resource. The Great Book of the Great Book Robbery. It's a documentary actually detailing the theft of tens of thousands of books from Palestinian homes during the Nakba. I'll send some of the resources to you. And there are also some comedy, but also political, dark comedy, let's say, resources. For example, Layla's birthday. Okay, it's a
I
very important.
saw that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Comedy that was heartbreaking. It was
yeah,
so that was
yeah,
I saw that film as a short film, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very
And
watch for me. It was very sad, but very, very
uh,
ended. Very.
yeah. Regarding the second
Oh
question,
wait, Layla's birthday. And I did see that one, but I'm confusing it, I think, with the present. There's two shorts.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, regarding your second question, Nicole, we Palestinians, what do we expect, or what we are now, how we can work together, let's say.
Are you happy with what you see happening on social media?
Okay, what's happening on social media is very, very important, but I believe that it's not about speaking for the Palestinians, but to amplify our voices.
Mhm.
We expect that uh, advocates, groups, activists, organizations need to center their narratives, experiences, and also priorities to amplify our voices. This includes, of course, the supporting of a Palestinian-led initiatives or artists or writers or activities or anything. Uh, Also, you know, we in Jerusalem, we look for allies also to challenge the dominant narratives that erase or mispresent the Palestinian life, just like your experience, Nicole.
Very much.
Um,
When I hear
yeah,
the when I hear they're animals, they're this, they, and I get that. I hear that from my own friends. Like, oh,
yeah,
if it wasn't for the terrorists. It's like they don't realize who the real terrorists are. It's like it's media. I'm like, turn off your CNN, your Fox, your whatever, and read a book. That's how I feel now. It's like it really is a boob tube, we call it. Do you know that saying of the TV?
yeah,
Little
yeah,
boob tube, and it's kind of like just makes you not think. You
yeah.
need things.
That's why we need allies, and we're not talking here about only organizations or governments or groups or activists, but also individuals. We want to challenge this biased narrative. This mispresentation of Palestinians is something that we need to work on, especially in the Western media, in the academic spaces as well, and of course the political discourse, which is very, very important. Um, Also, we expect from international advocates to lobby their governments and to hold Israel accountable for the violations in Jerusalem and to just stop funding this regime or stop cooperating, stop whatever you do with this regime, to push for tangible policy and changes, not only statements. And of course, um, people believe in supporting the BDS movements, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions, or supporting other forms of non-violent pressure
Mm.
on the governments itself. And since we're talking about Jerusalem, and as I said for Jerusalem is a very awfully expensive city. So we need also economic and social solidarity, you know, supporting the Palestinian businesses and cooperatives and the cultural institutions in Jerusalem. If you are in Jerusalem, get wujud. And I believe this is the only political guidebook to Jerusalem, and or one of the very, very few political guidebooks to Jerusalem. So get wujud and know where to go, where to shop, where to sleep, where to eat, how you can support the Palestinian economy.
Mhm.
Also, um, we can do that also by opposing the companies that profit from the occupation.
Yes.
Or yeah, it's very, very important, I believe.
Very painful for me to see, especially if they're Arab, but I don't even know like Palestinians and they don't boycott, and to see them having some of this stuff and supporting the and I even said years ago before this started to a family member who bought something, I said, you support that person car. And they're like, what? And and I'm like, and now it's like it's more open, but I saw it way back then that you're supporting a lunatic.
Yeah,
Um,
and Nicole, one thing that is also very, very important is to understand that every means is targeted towards erasing the Palestinian identity or the Palestinians' presence in the city. So we also want to work together with people from outside, from people from inside Palestine, to protect and to promote the Palestinian culture, the Palestinian history, the Palestinian heritage, especially in Jerusalem, which is often, of course, as I said before, targeted for erasure or Israelization or any forms of changing the reality and imposing a new reality on this holy city. And these are some, forums where people can do, but we believe that it is a mutual learning process. It's not like Yazan sitting here telling you what you can do or vice versa. I do not encourage imposing on people things that they cannot do. You
right.
tell me what you're doing there, and we can develop a strategy together. We can develop something together. There
That's
are different means where you can support Palestinians, or you can support the Palestinian cause, or Palestinian narrative. It's either, as I said, culture or in media, on fighting this mispresentation of Palestinians in the media and fighting this the other narrative, which hides everything and really changes the reality of people living in Jerusalem and Jerusalem itself. So it's a mutual, as I said, learning process.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I hate people that I like the influencers. They come out and say, you have to do this. You have to. No, we all have a different way. We all have a different, nobody has to, uh,
Yeah,
so I'm not a fan of that either. And I don't, that's like pressure, peer pressure. But I love and see just by saying that you're making me think because my goal was to try and come this year, inshallah. But every time we want to spend money here, so anyone like even listening, it's like if you really do, that's a beautiful way to support is go and spend your money there, and see. It's loving. Look at all the activists. There is Miko. There's Robert Martin, who I love too. You know him. It's like these people have learned by coming and seeing the
yeah,
warmth of Palestinians, and it's just a and those are the people that are really fighting because like they know the truth. They know the beauty of Palestinians. There's no hospitality like Palestinians. It's like go. And I mean, I remember when I first went like overseas, even Egypt, it's an Arab, um, very generous and it's just beautiful. So I love that because I'm like, before you spend and waste any money on, we're such a consumer, you know, life here, go travel, go live it, go see it. It is, I can't wait to be back. It's so beautiful. But I will say, here's a other funny story. You have to warn people. I went to go visit some other families somewhere in Jerusalem out of Wadi Joz. I forgot where I have to find out where I was. And I was taking a shower and I hear I'm like hurrying and got to get out. And I come out like to the living room where the family's sitting, like, what's happening? You know, I heard the fire. It's a wedding.
Yeah.
It's Thursday, or is it Friday? Or what day is that that you should warn people? Like,
Yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah.
what days of the week is that? Because that's all the
And Fridays, especially on Fridays.
Joma. And I'm like, and they're like, it's a wedding. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so scary. Well, tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the best, as I said, the best way also is to experience here. Meet people in Jerusalem. If you come to Jerusalem, anybody, meet people of Jerusalem, meet the residents, okay, and talk to them. It's not how they promote. It's not how they present the Palestinians living in Jerusalem, and they don't want you to know. That's a very important
I
thing.
do hope some people have learned because of what I mean on all the social media, all these videos. I see hate and rage and kill them all and stuff like that and violence. And then you see the people starving, saving lives, you know, helping each other, thanking God. I mean, I watch people's comments. They really see that. So the truth is exposed. So I do love that. But again, yeah, some people just really need to go experience it.
Hmm? Yes, I totally agree with that. And Nicole, for you and the people who are watching, please accept this gift from Grassroots Al Quds. We offer you a virtual tour, a free virtual tour of Jerusalem to you and a group that can just register or you know um, a virtual tour of Jerusalem and a discussion for a 1 hour just for you and the people who's watching this podcast and who are interested in learning more about Jerusalem and visiting the city somehow virtually, but also, yeah, please consider this as a gift from
Take
Grassroots.
on it. And I'm actually gonna reach out to you because maybe my aunt, maybe she'll remember some things if I could get her on a virtual tour there. I want more of the story. My dad was very young, so I don't think he knows, you know, remembers what she remembers. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna thank you so much for your time. I know we went over, but I love this.
Yeah.
This was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as I said before, I was very, very excited to this podcast, and I'm very satisfied, and I feel very comfortable talking to you. And I hope that we meet in person very, very soon in Jerusalem. And yes, and another till another time. I believe that. We will meet in Jerusalem and we will go together to Wadi Al Juz and other parts of the city.
All right. Thank you. I agree. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. That was like a lesson. I learned so much. That was really wonderful. One of these days I will learn to stop recording and just to not stop recording because the conversations that I have after are usually really fun and always have some gold in them. So I have to just keep recording. But I learned even more after we finished the podcast. So it's a very important organization to support. Please support Grassroots Al Quds. I can't wait to get my hand on the book. I am planning on getting a group together and doing a virtual tour until I can get there and support the economy and support the Palestinians. Please visit if you can. If not, just keep talking, keep learning. I'm providing all these books and wonderful documentaries, and we have to keep talking. As he said, get the voices out, get the truth out, get their stories heard. Share this podcast. This is why I'm doing it, to help spread truth. And we will not stop until they have the human rights and freedom they deserve. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. Please share, please like, please subscribe. Please go to Grassroots Al Quds, support them, and don't stop talking about Palestine. Remember, I mean, none of us are free until we're all free. And I know you're here because you care. So thank you so much.